Hey everyone, today we're going to be looking at protected routes in Next.js. So a protected route is a page that only certain authorized users can visit on a website. So in this video, we are going to protect a certain route. So I have setting myself already and I have it running here. And this is my sign-in page. So what I'm going to do is I have designed a page, a new post route that has a form that will be filled. Let me navigate to new post. So I'm going to protect the new post page, that's this page here, such that whenever any user is signed out, he should not be able to visit this page. Whenever he signed out, he should not be able to visit this page. So the only place he can visit is the sign-in page. And after he signs in, then he comes here. So if he signed out and he comes here manually, we want to write a function that would ensure that he goes back to the sign-in page. That's for unauthenticated users. So I would just get this now. So I have this file called post.jsx that runs on my browser. It's a client-side component, and I have the server-side component that runs on the server. So I would visit this website auth.js.dev and see how we can get our session object. Now, the way we can identify if a user is signed in or not is to check if the session exists. Now, the session is an object that is created every time a user signs into a web app or to a website. So in here, I'll just click on get started and click on the session management. Then I'll click on get session. So I want to get this session object. And since that function is going to be written here, and this is a server-side component, this is for the server, and this Next.js client here means that I'm trying to fetch session on the client. So in this case, I'm trying to fetch it on the server, which is preferable. So I'll take a good look at this code snippet here and understand what it does. But the first thing I see is that their functional component is an asynchronous function here. So I'm going to mirror just that. So my page is going to be async, which it already is, asynchronous. So, and it's asynchronous because we are going to await something. So this is what they did now. They created a variable, called it session. And this session, they're going to await a function called auth. So I'll create a variable, const of session is going to be equal to await. Then I'm going to await auth from @auth. Now let's talk about this auth function I just imported here. In my auth.js file, this was a file I created while I was trying to ensure that users can sign into the website. And here I exported an auth function, this one here. So this is the function that I just imported at this stage. The function is called auth and it's coming from a file called auth as well. So it's coming from auth just like this. So that's session. Once again, this is an object that will be created every time a user is signed into a website. So what I'm going to do here now is, since this component runs on the server, I'm going to pass in a condition, an if statement, just like this. So we know now that once there is a session, it means that a user has been signed in. So in here, I'm going to say, if there is no session, so this exclamation mark session just means if there is no session. I want to redirect users to the sign-in page where they can go to actually sign in. So I'm going to use the redirect, and I'm going to import redirect from next navigation. Now, there are two things you must note while carrying out this our inputs. The first one is that the redirect function runs only on server-side component and not client. Then we are importing redirect from next navigation because we are using the app router. So redirect as a function, we are going to redirect users to the sign-in page, which is in auth sign-in, just like that. So every time there is no session and a user manually tries to come to this new post page, we take them back to auth sign-in. So let's see it. If I come here now and I try to navigate to new post, no matter what happens, it keeps me back in this sign-in page here. Okay, it keeps me back in this sign-in page. So what I'm going to do now is I'll come back to the sign-in page here. Okay, and if you look closely at this, we can see that this is a server-side component as well. So what I'll do here now is in this sign-in page, I'm also going to access my session object so that every time a user signs in, we then direct them to the new post page. So a very similar function to what we wrote here is what we're going to write in the sign-in page. So I'll make this function asynchronous again. Then I'm going to access the session object, const of session is going to be equal to await auth coming from @auth as a function. Then the same if statement that was written earlier on, I'm going to write it again. So in this case, I will now say if there is a session, no longer if there is no session. If there is a session, I'm going to redirect users to the new post page. So that every time a user signs in on the website, they would no longer remain on this route. They would then be navigated to new post. So having written this function, let's try it out now. So I'll just click on sign in with Google. Then it takes me to where I can select my account. So I'll select John Doe. And I'm going to click on continue. So you observe that once I'm signed in, it takes me to new post route. That's it. So this new post now is only accessible to users that have signed in to the website. If there's any user that has not signed in, that user would not be able to access new post. So that's how we handle protected route in Next.js.